Hello, dear participants of this session. Today, we are going to talk about J partnership projects in Russia and Islamic world countries. I'm the moderator, I'm the director of the Further Education Institute at Innopolis University. And when we planned this session of the forum, we wanted to share the experience we have. Also other universities experience from Tatarstan and also other countries on building partnerships and relationships. Today, when the world is fast developing, technologies are also developing, and we are all experiencing staff and talent shortages, also technological shortages, and we need to bolster each other with the competences we enjoy and also our countries have. Today, during this session, we are going to showcase various experience, different cases of educational partnership, technological, scientific, the difficulties and challenges and outcomes and solutions for these problems. We're going to share experience of various technological vectors. We're very happy to see you today. Please stay with us. This is going to be fun. And now, a word of welcome goes to Iskander Bariev, the Deputy Director of Innopolis University and the head of the Advanced Engineering School at the university. Dear colleagues, hi everyone. I'm very happy that Innopolis University is hosting this session and discussion. I think there will be online colleagues with us attending online and listening to us. We'll be able to also share experience. And this subject of international cooperation for the university, Innopolis University, is very important. Collaborations with scientific research centers, tertiary education institutions, domestic and international, is very important. That's how we share best practices. We are able to develop strong researchers and also develop best outcomes from educational projects, best outcomes due to strong graduates, strong publications and programs and solutions. Tatarstan is also a center of gravity for science and education. We represent the Republic of Tatarstan, and the subject of international cooperation, cooperation with other countries, is very important for other countries. The head of Tatarstan, Rais Minikhanov, travels abroad a lot, touring other countries, showcasing Tatarstan's products and services, building cooperation and partnerships with leading scientific research centers and universities. Today, the colleagues are going to tell us about their solutions and successful outcomes. Our friends are also going to be share their experience. Ajit Abraham joined us. I'm very happy to see that. And we're going to also tell you about our partnerships, university partnership schemes, and our proposals in terms of further cooperation. We're also open to further dialogue and discussions in case of need and will. Our university is ready to be an interface for interaction with Tatarstan enterprises and universities, a one-stop shop. Thank you so much. I hope this will be interesting for everyone. Thank you very much, Iskander. Let me remind you of the procedure. We have 10 minutes for each presentation, 5 minutes for questions. So you have 15 minutes to count on. Simultaneous interpreting is working, so please try not to speed up to make sure we all understand each other. Now I'd like to give the floor to Ajit Abraham, Benedict University Prorector. This year, the Innopolis University and Benedict University opened a joint laboratory on AI, and we'd like to tell you about how it was created and the challenges facing us.
Sorry, good afternoon to all of you. I still have a little bit of jet lag. First of all, I'm very happy to be back in Innopolis. I've been closely working with Innopolis University since 2017, 2018, and during the last 5 years, I am very closely associated with the Center for Artificial Intelligence at Innopolis University. So from I look at, when the way I look at Innopolis University during the last 7 to 8 years, Innopolis University has grown to a purely international university. If you look at the students, faculty, research projects, variety of things we are doing with projects, with collaborations, networks, etc., etc. And I come from a very global background. So I've been working with many countries, many researchers all over. And the way Innopolis University is growing, I think it is really something fabulous. First of all, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the administrators of the university, starting from rector, vice rector, directors, various other faculty members involved. Second, I would say the government of Tatarstan. Uh, I have been lucky enough to see the president a couple of times. Like Professor Barif mentioned, that leadership makes a very big impact. Because when you have a leader who tells that, go and do this, I am behind you to support. So that makes a very big impact scientifically. And to me, international collaboration, or I would say scientific networking, is very important, especially I think in a networked world like ours. We cannot work in solo environment because the problems are very challenging, and very often we look at problems from a small domain. And when we collaborate, we find probably many more ideas from various perspectives. At the same time, you get a lot more opportunities to expand your project in many big ways. Many a time we have scientific ideas, but we don't have people to work with. Many a time we have applications, but we need some theoretical development or some algorithm or some development to support those applications. And many a times you don't have in-house resources. I guess a country like Russia, probably the resources are very limited, the population. But you look at India, we have 40% youth population. So the next 30 years, India is going to be the most youthful population in the world. So you can imagine you're directly accessing a talent pool where all you need is ideas, networking, collaboration, and working together. Likewise, I'm just giving an example. Malaysia, if you look at like neighboring countries, you will see a lot of opportunities. So collaboration, I think, is the only pathway for us to build institutions, science, scale up, and I think the future itself. I think together, if we can navigate this path, I think all of us can succeed together. It's not just Innopolis University or Republic of Tatarstan or Russia, but we can actually do something for the world globally in a very big scale. That is my personal belief. So over time, since I've been working with Innopolis University officially during the last 5 years, unofficially probably more than that, and now we have established a research labs in India. So we have a center for AI or AI lab in my university in New Delhi, where we are going to develop cutting-edge technologies for solving media-related problems. So I come from Bennett University, where we are part of the media group. The Times of India is the biggest or the largest selling English newspaper in the world. So we have 30 different or 30 plus diverse business entities, and education is just one of them. So we have newspaper, print, we have radio, we have TV, we have internet, Times Now, ET Now, plus Magic Bricks, real estate. So you can imagine online, we are everywhere. So through this Center for AI lab, which is established in Bennett University, I am looking forward to scaling up our contributions to various real-world applications. So like I said, media is like a very interesting area, especially in the new world. Like you might have seen, like a lot of things happening, and especially during the last several years, the growth of artificial intelligence, generative AI. I think we have a session very soon in the next an hour or so. So we are going to see a lot of developments in this domain, and I guess Innopolis University would be able to contribute immensely in this new initiative in Bennett University. I'm also very happy that we have a leader from India and Russian scientific networking. So I guess he may be able to talk more about how to streamline our activities in a bigger scale. So I'm sure that together in the next coming months and years, we will grow our collaboration and take this to a new level, contributing to various scientific developments. Besides, I think it's not only scientific, but also sometimes collaborations can help us to understand culturally many more things. So I guess a lot of potential is there together. I think I see the sky is the limit for such collaborations. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Спасибо большое.
Thank you so much. Perhaps we do have some questions. If you do have any questions, you are able to ask them now during this discussion. Certainly, Bennett University is a very good, positive university. Case in point, it's a large media company with great students. Thank you so much. We visited this year and we had a great impression. Now I'd like to give the floor to Diana Yermolaeva, the head of corporate education programs of Innopolis University. Since last year, Innopolis University, as Ajit correctly mentioned, we're living in a global world, and global education, global technologies are required. And certainly we need to find new pathways for collaboration, for complementing each other, bolstering each other, because on the one hand we have resource hunger, and on the other hand, countries are developing jointly with us. And our common goal is to unite in this development and find new best practices. In particular, Innopolis University since last year began active development and continuous active development of international cooperation, also in corporate education programs, and we'd like to tell you about the existing experience and programs. Diana, you have the floor. Thank you, dear colleagues. My name is Diana Yermolaeva, and I am the head of the Center of Corporate Education Programs at Innopolis University. We're going to be talking about our experience of corporate education programs. And we'll also welcome your experience sharing, your questions, your concerns about what exists today, the status of the market today, domestically and internationally. I cannot avoid mentioning a few words about Innopolis. Lots has been said today already, but I'd also like to introduce you to our university. This is an amazing place where business and science works in synergy. In my experience, there are no other such huge, such warm, such welcoming places. I'd like you to also experience and see this place where we create our educational products. In terms of science, our university has 2 institutes, 18 labs with over 35 experts working at the university with sharing their huge international experience. From the corporate side, we have 9 labs. Speaking of the projects, I think these are over 450 of them successfully completed with largest companies both in Russia and abroad. Currently, we have over 65% of our staff, experts and scientific staff, also staff with international experience. They're amazing people who are excited about their jobs, and they are also to thank for this synergy. Innopolis is not a university per se, but is an IT company with an educational license. This is truly so. In terms of our key partners, they are represented on this wall. However, I'd like to note that thanks to this unique approach, Russia's largest companies, international companies into IT development, mining, extraction, many others, work within Innopolis, with our staff, with our students, creating wonderful projects which are being scaled worldwide. A bit more details on that later. And now, briefly, I'd like to give you some more background and show you a few slides for you to see the ambience of our university. This is the university campus, where our students are studying. A unique environment in terms of attitudes towards students. Not just the quality of education, but quality of life of students is at the highest level. It's an amazing place, amazing infrastructure with self-driving cars, robot delivery services, and people are not surprised about this anymore. This is just a normal everyday routine. Now, moving over to the subject of my discussion, let me give you a brief introduction. We are into corporate education since 2016. For this presentation today, we have reviewed the last 4 years of partnerships and requests. In 2021, the companies used to come and ask, what is digital transformation? Please, teachers, tell us about what it is. Now, in 2022, after everyone realized what digital transformation actually means, companies began asking about how to best manage this transformation process. Now they realized it, but they needed to know how to use it. In 2023, the agenda saw the implementation of digital transformation tools, the ways to implement the tools, and AI also to improve efficiency of our business and the quality of business processes. Now, since 2024 to today, companies are coming to us with other questions. The most popular are related to implementation of large language models to corporate business processes. Very detailed questions. The companies now learn the technologies and are trying to understand specifically how to use these technologies, implement them in their business to get the outcomes they need. And we also see a complication of requirements. The companies want to not just implement it and educate someone, they would like to learn to measure education efficiency and quality of education. And this translates into efficiency and quality of their business corporate processes. We forecast this is a trend that will maintain in the coming years. Separately, I'd like to note the reason for the need in developing international corporate educational programs. The reason why education as a product is not as effective as it used to be. First of all, knowledge generally without skills, without knowledge, without competencies, without practice, do not solve company goals. And the corporate customers, the companies, are certainly focused on specific business goals. Now, we are seeing more and more often that companies need to change, transform their digital culture to support digital processes internally, to transform their companies, and also to circulate their staff. Companies understand today that business processes have to be reviewed. We see explosive growth in technology market, which aids education markets as well. In our experience today, we are actively collaborating with Persian Gulf countries, with other countries of the global East and South, and we'd like to share our corporate and educational programs on the agenda today. First of all, speaking of international programs, I'd like to share a case in point prepared for a large oil and gas company in China. Now, why is it special? Why couldn't we just bring Chinese experts or take our corporate staff into China and provide them with corporate educational programs there? Well, in our view, when we were monitoring client needs, we realized that a trip to China for education won't solve their goals. The goals were to learn the technologies that Chinese colleagues have, to see how it works in practice, the implementation, and the outcomes already achieved. Also, future outcomes and how can they be translated into our Russian realities. So our educational programs, apart from educational part, included visits to manufacturing enterprises, communications with top management, with technical staff of these enterprises and sites, so that colleagues could discuss practical issues, conduct talks, and also they had a business trainer attached that throughout each day did reviews on the knowledge gained, not just educational, but also technical, derived from the manufacturing enterprises. And the colleagues were thinking of transferring these competencies and outcomes into their own manufacturing and processes. So largely speaking, after this program, colleagues were able to create a roadmap, a business plan on implementing these international technologies into Russia. There is the reverse side of the coin. When we structure educational programs in Russia, and this is also a very interesting vector, because traditionally Russia enjoys a very strong vector of education, which is interesting and required by international companies. For instance, oil and gas sector, we created a program where companies visit 4 different cities in 5 days, visit few large enterprises, learning about how these processes are built and structured inside the enterprises. So in one trip, company staff are able to gain experience with largest enterprises in Russia. Speaking of educational products per se, I don't have much time, unfortunately. I'll try to wrap up soon. I'd like to note separately that it provides a huge scope for cooperation. We note that in international educational programs, we are able to tackle few company goals. These are educational goals, practical business goals, strategic goals, and we are ready to collaborate and cooperate as a center developing these educational solutions from scratch. Also, any needs are able to be tailor-fitted with necessary solutions. Also, there are interesting cases when we restructure existing programs and bolster them. These are domestic and international programs, and also programs when a customer needs to create a new education module in Russia. And that's what I mentioned at the outset. Speaking of Innopolis University and its scientific and technical base, it provides for important interaction and outcomes. Dear colleagues, these are my contacts on the last slide. I'm sure that our experience may be useful for you. Your experience may also be applicable for us. I'll be very happy to welcome any contacts. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Perhaps you do have any questions from the speakers? No? Thank you. Okay, very well. Now, certainly these educational programs are being developed with a number of countries. providing fascinating insights also with a number of Indian universities. And it's very interesting to see that we don't see any closure, any isolation. The companies and countries are willing to develop together, trying to complement each other. And now let's go further into specifics of educational initiatives of India. Now it's my pleasure to give the floor to Safhan Safkar, the director of Russia-India Technological Cooperation, a global expert in information technology and technology policy from India. Subham is going to tell us about Indian initiatives at various education levels, from base education to academic mobility. You have the floor, sir.
Dobre din. So greetings to all my panelists and participants. I'm absolutely delighted to be here, and this is my first visit to Russia. So let me introduce who we are first. So we are a very young chamber. We are only a year old. We are focused on improving technology collaboration between India and Russia. So in Russia, we are partnered with Russoft Association, which is the largest association of technology company in Russia, along with Technology Sovereignty Exports Association. And for education, we have a partner called CDO Global. You may know CDO Global as a technology company, but it's an educational company also. And together with CDO Global, we are launching educational programs in India. Now, education, we know it's a very important pillar of the society. In the history, we have seen any country which has invested in education, they have seen national prosperity. And anybody who destroyed education, they have destroyed generations. Everybody knows it, but we still see these examples. Now, coming to the framework of our collaboration with Russia, and especially in the area of education, we have focused on 4 segments depending on the life stage of the learners. First are, students who are studying in school. For them, we are envisioning programs related to strengthening the elementary base required for science and technology. Then the next segment are the students who are finishing school and going to university. Now there is a huge segment of Indian students who study abroad. So we have some plans for this particular segment. Then students who are already in the universities, we facilitate some programs between universities of India and Russia. And then the largest segment, which is the post-university segment, where learners need to develop their skills, whether it is professional skills required to find jobs or to create jobs for entrepreneurs. So we help in building programs and network in these areas. So let me take you through each segment briefly. So the first segment is strengthening the elementary base for school students. Now, this demographic we are talking about, they are the Gen Z in India. Now, they are born after the age of internet, and everybody has seen mobile phone immediately after they were born. So this is a very different segment than whom we address otherwise. And they are soon going to be 52% of India's population, which will translate into 10% of global population. This is the biggest base whom we need to educate. And this segment is not very mobile. They need to stay with their parents, do a school locally. We can't send them to Russia or to India or any other place. However, this segment is a technology-first generation, and with technology, we can reach them easily. There are many opportunities that we can co-create for this segment. Many opportunities we already know, but a vast majority of opportunities we don't know yet. And this is a segment where we can launch a lot of programs which we are also promoting as part of our chamber. The immediate business case are in 2 areas. One is the STEM subject, science, technology, engineering, and maths. Here we can you know, Russian institutions and Indian institutions can collaborate together and offer programs. And also, in the areas of Olympiads, Russia is known for excelling in Olympiads for decades. India has a very good talent pool of science and technology students. We need to co-create a platform to give them an aspiration to not only become, you know, the best students in their own country, but become the best students in the world. So this is what is one of our main, main motto with this elementary base. While we are doing this, we can also think of promoting, inter-school competitions, maybe inter-school competitions related to mental sports such as chess. Chess is a very big subject in India and as well as Russia. We have been producing grandmasters for decades. We can also venture into other things like, student tours and many other areas. The whole objective of this particular segment is to build a base for academic excellence for 10% of world's population who are going to lead our world in the future. And also, it is a good idea to capture their mind very young, because what we often see is, we educate our youngsters, and as soon as, they finish school, they'll go to MIT or Stanford. So why don't we, build a base now only to retain them? So next segment is also a very big segment, which is people who are, especially learners who are going abroad to study. This is a big segment because this segment allows cross-pollination of academics and ideas. Now, every year, 750,000 students from India go abroad to study. They go to US, Canada, UK, European Union, and Australia. And we also see a significant portion of Russian students, around 98,000 every year, they go abroad to study. But very few Indian students come to Russia, and far fewer Russian students go to India. We see a lot of Russians in India for yoga, for Hare Krishna, but very few Russian students, right? So we need to tilt this table. There are already existing opportunities in the areas of medicine and engineering. We see a lot of Indian students studying medicine in Russia. However, as a technology chamber, we focus on high tech, including AI, quantum technology, semiconductors. We can offer these programs to Indian students who are going abroad. Now, this is quite important because, again, talent retention is an issue. In the past, we could not, retain good talents. We have lost it to the West. If we create this, we will be able to retain these talents within our BRICS framework. I'm running out of time, so I will speed up a little bit. The next part is university collaboration. We have many universities, well-known universities, both in Russia and India. And all the universities have their own program for outreach. But we have also seen that universities are like very big ships. They take time to, navigate. So where we come into the picture is facilitate the connections where it does not exist. So that means we can help universities which are not connected with each other in areas related to student exchange, faculty exchange, or joint degree programs. If we are offering degrees between Russia and university together. So benefit of this is it improves the interoperability of talent and expertise. Also helps cross-pollination of academic ideas and research, right? And the last segment, which is of our common interest between Innopolis and what we are going to do together, are professional programs focused on two segments. One is for learners who want to build their expertise to find jobs, and learners who are creating jobs, for example, entrepreneurs. Now, for learners who wants to develop their skills, we offer few programs related to joint certificate programs. Now, these programs can be launched directly by Russian universities in India. India is a very big demographic, right? You will definitely find some upticks. But the second method that we propagate is joint certificate, which is partner with the university and Indian university who will accredit your programs in India and launch it. So these programs can be specific to an industry, it could be generic, it could be any niche skill development program, or it could be any extension of your continuous learning program. Similar programs for startups is what we have in our roadmap, where we plan to integrate accelerators or incubators of both countries so that startups of both countries can work together, whether it is accessing the infrastructure or accessing cross-border talent or accessing cross-border fund. So we are planning to build this network of accelerators between India and Russia so that the job creators and innovators of tomorrow can access market of both countries, can access resources of both countries, can access talent of both countries. So how do we make it happen? Now, this is our roadmap. We have already started with the certificate programs, and we have launched a few already. Second is university collaboration. As I mentioned earlier, university collaborations are a little difficult to execute because universities have their own mind, and it takes a lot of time. However, where we have seen success is in the area of industry-academic collaboration. If you allow me 2 more minutes. Okay. So in India, there is a joint program in the semiconductor industry launched. It's a joint venture between a Russian company and an Indian company, or multiple companies coming together to make it happen. It needs a lot of niche technology skills, whether it is research and development or operations and maintenance or everything around the technology. And we need to build a talent pool for this technology. So that can only be done through universities, and we have partnered with an university in the north, in the UP state of India, which has a network of 300 colleges already, where we will train people in high technology to come into research and design, who will be employed in these projects, whether during the setup of this project or during manufacturing or during operations and maintenance. Studying in Russia and India, what we want to start is, out of 750,000 students, we want to send a significant number of students to Russia, for which we need a lot of collaboration, a lot of support from Russian universities. Recently, in Delhi, there was an event for education collaboration. 80 Russian universities participated, and it saw a footfall of 5,000. It is a very good step, but this is not enough, according to us. I mean, we need a lot more people to gain this. And here, I think there are some support needed in terms of narrative and public participation, where I feel Mr. Ajit and his network of media. See, believe me when I tell you, majority of India finds or believes Russia as their ally. So at any point of time, more than 800 million people are there as your friend, ready to stand behind you or beside you. But we are losing the narrative war to the West, and here I think we need a lot of collaboration, a lot of support from your government for other universities to build these narratives. How do we get there? It's quite easy. I mean, we need to create mutually beneficial programs. We have already started. We need to build empowering collaboration platforms that we are doing as part of our chamber. Narrative with Mr. Ajit and your government, we need to work on the narrative, because India is a market for you. They support you. Only thing is get the narrative right. And we also need a lot of government support for advocacy, because Indian government is coming up with new policies of universal credit bank, where students can study in multiple places, get their credit recognized and accredited. We can think of having a credit exchange or accreditation with Russian universities in future. For example, somebody studying in India for 4 years, 2 years they do it in Russia, and their credits are accredited. So this is what I think our government is working on. The biggest segment is the elementary base. However, we start with the easiest one, which is a free market, where we don't have any regulation, but we have a lot of competition, which is certificate programs. And I would like to leave you with another thought is, it is also time for us to reimagine new education frameworks, especially the ranking system. Till now, we have been following the QS ranking system, and we all know that QS ranking is biased. And according to that framework, none of the Eastern universities will ever be the top universities, even though we produce the best talents. So I think it is a good time to start those dialogue and reimagine new education framework and new education systems, and create one in future. So thank you. Thank you for inviting me to this platform. I really thank Innopolis University to make this happen.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for your presentation.
Thank you very much for presentation. And it's true that the international partner programs are quite widespread in India. And we studied the experience of various universities. And Russia is not the only partner for India, because Russia is not the largest country who we can cooperate with. But anyway, we are open for different programs and international partnership. And we would also like to present the experience of China. And last year, we signed an agreement on opening a Chinese-Russian Center for Technologies. And I would like to give the floor to our second speaker. We have our next speaker. He is online. Yuo Kao. He is the Executive Vice President of Xinjiang Intellectual Property Exchange Center. It was opened in 2016.
Hello. Хорошо, когда спикеры офлайн.
Unfortunately, our speaker, it's good when we have speakers offline because we can easily communicate with you.
Hello, Russia.
Yui, we hear
Hello,
you, but
Kazakhstan.
we don't see you.
Hello, Maria.
Yes, hello,
It's
I'm
nice to
glad
see you again.
hear you. One
Okay,
moment.
hello from China and from Hangzhou.
One moment, we have some technical mistake, and now our technical. Oh, okay. We see you and we hear you. Please, you can start.
Again, hello from Hangzhou. And Hangzhou is known for where Alibaba started, and Jack Ma grew up here and created such a giant company, and shows the innovation here in Hangzhou and also in China. My name is Yuni Cao. As Maria just mentioned, I work at the Zhejiang Intellectual Property Exchange. In this capacity, we work with universities, companies, and people who produce technologies. And I'm just glad and very happy that Innopolis University invites me to speak to features of Russia and China International Education Partnership Program implementation, and especially innovation. Next slide, please. So here, let me start with some of the, next slide, please. Let me start with some of the stories and statistics that we have these days. And here, just show on the screen, here's a photo we just took recently here in Hangzhou. We were visited by a delegation from Tatarstan. It was from a city, and the Russian guests were in China, and in Hangzhou in particular, and Shanghai, to find out how China takes care of older people with new technology and especially new mechanisms. Here in photo, it's a very touching story. Here we have a gentleman and a lady talking with the Russian experts in Russian. I was there, but I couldn't understand anything. But later, they sent together a Russian son, and it was a very touching moment. The story is the gentleman and the lady here, 50 years ago, they worked with Soviet experts in China to help Chinese to build a new industry. And that was 50 years ago, 60 years ago. So the collaboration started a long time ago. Next slide, please. And in terms of innovation, everybody learns from Russian too. And here is the famous CHIZ system. It was invented by Soviet Union experts back in 1950s and 60s, and has spread across borders. And in the United States, people study CHIZ, and also in China, people study CHIZ too. I myself learned a lot from this system too. And here on the screen, we show, for example, textbooks written for CHIZ. Next slide, please. And one result we can see today is in China, there's a boom in high tech, and it shows in export. In China, there's a new word and spread around the world called the new 3 types of products that's being exported. That's batteries, electric vehicles, and solar panels. And Chinese, in terms of technology, products, market share, are by far #1 in the world right now. And it shows in exports too. Last year, these products export the value over 1 trillion RMB. That's about 12 trillion Russian ruble. That's also, it's a big increase over the year before. Next slide, please. And we can go through quickly a few statistics that's happening right now. First, in China, innovation is spreading across many cities. Here is a report by the World Intellectual Property Organization, WIPO. Every year, it reports the most innovative 100 cities around the world. And in China last year, for the first time, in terms of number of cities, China had 24 cities in top 100, became #1 in the world, more than the United States. Also on the list, we can see familiar cities like Shenzhen, like Beijing, like Shanghai. Also at number 14, that's the city of Hangzhou, where we are. Next slide, please. And innovation takes people. Here is a number. These are number of graduates from Chinese universities from last 10 years. 90 million people graduated from Chinese cities. And this year is more than 11.79 million graduates. And 10 years ago, that figure was 7.49 million graduates. So it's increasing, climbing, and it helps a lot. And also in China, about 70% of these graduates are in engineering and science. That's one reason Chinese produce lots of innovation and manufacturing. Next slide, please. And behind that is big spending. The R&D spending in China is vast. According to American figures, back in 2019, 5 years ago, in the US was #1 in R&D expenditure, but China was close second, and it was at 79% of the American level. And I'm sure China is closing the gap. And if you consider purchasing power parity, Chinese are spending a lot of money in R&D. Next slide, please. That creates a great foundation for the collaboration between Russia and China in innovation in higher education everywhere. At the top, the two nations have become closer. As a matter of fact, right now, at this very moment, Mr. Putin is in China visiting. So at the top level, there are favorable policies, agreements being designed. Next slide, please. And at the implementation level, last year we were visited by a delegation from Republic of Tatarstan, and it was led by Vice Prime Minister Mr. Roman Dinov. This is where the occasion where we, Zhejiang Intellectual Property Exchange Center, signed an agreement, as Maria just mentioned. Maria was there too, mentioned that we signed an agreement in the Policy University, and our conversation has been ongoing for months. So in terms of collaboration, next slide, please. There's 3 areas that we're looking into and working on together already. One is exchange of researchers and technologists, that's talents. And for the last 20 years, governments in China at all levels have spent lots of money attracting researchers and technologists, talents from everywhere around the world. Russian talents are highly respected. Russians are known for electronics, electrical engineering, mathematics, material science, many, many areas. And here, the logic is as follows. A company wants to do R&D, and also want to create the best high-tech products. And the company wants to attract foreign researchers or technologists. And the company applies for grant from the government. And with that grant, the company can pay a very good salary to a foreign talent. And sometimes the salary can go 1 million RMB, that's about 12 million Russian rubles. That's a PhD with about 10 years experience. The most attractive to Chinese companies and universities these days are members of the academies. That's members of the Russian Academy of Sciences. That's the members of Russian Academy of Engineering and other academies. And for this kind of very high status, very high quality, very famous people, they could receive funding up to 200 million RMBs. That's more than 2.5 billion Russian ruble. That's for the salaries, for the team, and for setting up research labs. Next slide, please. Also, foreign researchers are encouraged to apply for research grants. And at levels of cities, they have research grants. Level of provinces, they have research grants. And also at the national level. And there are grants set aside for foreigners. And foreign researchers are encouraged to set up research labs. And there's one lab, actually we know, set up mostly by Russian researchers, not far from where we are. And hot topics in China, like everywhere in the world, there's energy, automation, artificial intelligence, smart manufacturing. All these topics we are all familiar with. And I'm sure Russia and China, both sides, all work on this kind of topics. Next slide, please. And finally, for more promising and for technology being incubated, that's a topic between Innopolis University and Zhejiang Intellectual Property Exchange Center, and we're working on right now. And the idea is Chinese university labs are producing lots of good technologies. Russian university research labs are producing lots of good technologies. Let's create online platforms to showcase such technologies. Also, let's create activities and to make people meet in person with each other, try to elaborate how a Russian technology can come to China and how a Chinese technology can go to Russia. And finally, there are lots of high-tech companies here in China are more than willing to sell technologies to Russia. For example, in the city, we know this company for a while. They make chips. Those chips are for facial recognition, for fingerprint recognition, so they are very practical. And this company is looking for ways to sell into the Russian market. So there's a lot to be done, and here with the 10 minutes or so, I just try to paint a picture. Hopefully it's helpful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your presentation. I hope we can see each other offline this year too. Do you have some questions? No? Thank you.
Thank you very much. And then let's move on to the next part of our session. Thank you. Today, it's important to create certain programs which should be started with the certification, and it's important to synchronize our programs if we talk about higher education, and it's important to make them synchronized from the both sides. And there are a lot of online courses which are opened by various market players from different countries, and I would like to touch this subject on the legal basis for online education in Islamic countries. And I would like to give the floor to our next speaker. The speaker is also online, Lyubov Orlova. She's the Director for Strategic Initiatives of T1. T1 is actively involved in cooperation with Islamic countries, and they develop their cooperation. And we would like to touch this topic because it's quite relevant right now. So, Olga, the floor is yours. Hello, colleagues. Can you hear me? Yes, we can hear you. I'm happy to welcome you. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to make my presentation. I'm also an expert in information policy and information technologies and contacts in State Duma. And our committee is dealing with online education. And today I would like to focus on this. Our citizens increasingly upgrading their skills thanks to online courses, but recently we noticed that there are a lot of information products from bloggers, coaches, and business trainers who promise quick solution of financial and personal problems. And often these courses don't imply any render of knowledge. Actually, they just create the false image of the opportunity to getting super finances, super profits. And after people finish such courses, they receive no results, and they feel that they were tricked. And the activity which should be regulated and detailed, offline activities regulated by the government, but online educational activity is not regulated. And we can see a lot of cases of fraud. And according to statistics, the revenue of online platforms and educational online courses reaches 30 billion rubles. Could you please show next slide? And next, okay. Let's discuss the problems which lie behind here. We have conducted research and showed that the number of people who were victims of such fraud increased up to 68%, and we received more applications from victims to prosecutor's office. And we came with solution with offers from various associations, from businesses, and from the committees of the State Duma, and from IT specialists, and also from the Federal Council. So it's proposed that we should introduce the procedure of voluntary certification of online educational programs. Currently, we don't have them, and across the globe, we cannot see certain standards which determine the quality of such programs, and their quality is not checked. That's why there is a lot of argument how we can assess such educational products. And it's implied in Russia that Russian agents, Russian watchdog authorities should control this activity. Currently, there are a lot of projects online, which and some of them meet the requirements for educational programs, but there are some which don't meet these requirements. And also, there is the proposal that we should introduce requirements for the contracts which are concluded to get such educational services. And also the determination of educational and enlightenment services from information and consulting service centers. So there are a lot of consulting services offered online, and they're called mentorship, tutorship, and thus this activity is also not regulated. And point number 5 is the introduction of certain disclaimer for promoting educational products. And we can see a lot of complaints that the product doesn't meet the requirements and the expectations of the clients. And one of the reasons is that when these products were sold, entrepreneurs use certain words which actually create the false image among clients, and that's why they don't get what they want from these educational programs. And we also offer to create a digital partnership between online schools and universities, and actually we already have such a positive experience. And thus it's important that universities certify such products and verify their quality. We also there should be methodological recommendations developed by universities which should be applied as requirements to online educational industry. So thus, if we create such requirements, they would be helpful for regulating the operation of such activity. And I suppose our colleagues will be able to share their experience. We found that China accepted the law on the protection of students underage. So it's prohibited to use any accusations, any F-words and such stuff, and bullying online. And actually, they accepted the law that only real information should be presented online. And in France, they prohibit to promote cosmetics operation online. Online betting and financial products. And you can see some other examples, and I can say that currently we're preparing a number of changes to the legislation law, which will be able to regulate online educational activities. If you want to offer your amendments, we will be happy to consider them, because with the development of educational institutions, which are being offered in various formats, it's also important to regulate the amount of advertisement and promotion. And thus, we need to introduce changes in the promotion of such educational products. And if you're interested, I would be happy to share my materials with you. Thank you very much for your attention. That's all.
Thank you very much, Dubov Yurevna. It's a very interesting subject, actually. Do you have any questions? No? Well, thanks a lot. And good luck in your legislative work. If anyone would like to join the process, we will certainly be pleased to put you in touch with Lyubov. Now, moving on. In conclusion, we have just one more speaker, and we'd like to present you a high-tech case in international collaboration in staff training in microelectronics. And now I'd like to give the floor to Rivka Nazibulin, the head of the Faculty of Institute of Radio Electronics, Photonics, and Digital Technologies of Kazan University, KNI2KAI, to present his cases of international cooperation on staff training with advanced experience of his school, engineering. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Today, in my presentation, I'd like to touch upon a very important problem of staff training in the microelectronic sector, a not less important issue of international cooperation and joint projects in this sector. Joining approaches to resolve both of these problems. The microelectronics market in Russia currently is growing, showing us stable growth, and this goes for other countries friendly to Russia, which are also bolstering their microelectronic production. The joint market volume amounts to about 250 billion US dollars, around 40% of the world market. The biggest contribution here is paid by China and India, certainly, which have significantly advanced in own autonomous production of microelectronics and are continuing to gradually increase their production capacity. As for other countries, including Russia, their general contribution into the international market isn't so large. Jointly, Russia and North Africa and Middle East countries provide for 1 or 2% of the total. Every country certainly has its own barriers, hindering the development of the microelectronic industry in Russia. It's the shortage of production capacity for creating microelectronics. This is also the dependency on international supplies of equipment and materials, and shortage of highly skilled labor. According to expert assessments, today Russia has a shortage of talent in the microelectronic industry, numbering up to 2,000 people annually. These staff shortages and labor shortages are certainly a global problem for countries that are continuing and beginning their microelectronic development. And often we see situations when it's impossible to tackle this problem only through own efforts. It isn't always successful. For this reason, one of the options here is to continue growing, developing international cooperation. Here, different types of cooperation are required, such as international education programs, which could jointly with staff training provide for international cooperation in other vectors of the microelectronics sector. Let's now review one of the schemes of such international cooperation models based on international educational programs. On this slide, you can see the model of cooperation between two given countries, labeled as A and B. And the basis here is to create educational programs in universities jointly with production enterprises in a given country, A or B. Now, with industrial engagement, we're going to engage both developers and consumers of electronic components. This approach will enable us to scale the practical part of the programs, most of which will take place on the manufacturing sides of the industrial partners, and bring the educational program to necessary industrial technology levels. This engagement with the industry will create a necessary modern agenda in terms of R&D as well. Now, we need to explain the process of creating modern semiconductors and plates. Now, first of all, design centers play a role using specialized software. The second stage is certainly the manufacturing, and this happens at the factories. Next, at the design stage, the design center has to use the technological libraries of the production sites that are going to move on to manufacturing of these microelectronics. Then these centers can also be part of the university. So, in a given country, B, for instance, a new format of international programs is provided, which contains a number of adapted industry-adapted tracks for all organizations providing students, whether it's a university. Here, joint educational programs are possible in a network format. Also, increasing staff competencies, and also creating joint design centers. Students are also able to perform their own research and education programs in collaboration as framework of international university collaboration. If this is a design center, it can send its staff to the university, where they learn working with technological libraries of the industrial partner, and then during education they are able to implement their own programs during education stage, or once they're back to work at their design center, to continue the developments of this design center, implementing them in their industry in country A. Also, industrial partners are able to grow capacity, to gain new automation systems, diagnostics and testing of microelectronics, which with students' assistance can be transplanted to the industrial enterprises. It's also greatly important to broadcast open solutions to provide for industrial transfer to own country. In Russia, in Tatarstan, there is a strong base for creating such a center of cooperation in microelectronics on international scale. Currently, the Republic of Tatarstan is actively developing the microelectronics cluster, including a number of manufacturing enterprises, developers, and also microelectronics operators. A large number of enterprises are customers for microelectronics. I'm speaking of aviation, the automotive industry, agricultural sector, and many others. Also, there is a very important sector, such as manufacturing of gases and materials, super refined materials. It also exists in this republic. Also, different partnership schemes with other industrial enterprises in Russia is offered. And as a result of this activity, for instance, last year, based at Kazan Aviation University, we saw the launch of an advanced school of engineering, jointly with industrial partner, a large microelectronic producer. called called PJC Micro. Now, we propose to develop we plan to develop 3 international educational programs in English. All the programs were jointly developed with our industrial partner, PJC Micron. Micron is the leader in the microelectronics industry in Russia, both on output capacity, scale, and also quality. 3 programs include, first of all, preparing technologists for crystal manufacturing. Second is the designer of microelectronics and radioelectronics. And next are developers for automation of microelectronic manufacturing. These 3 programs all carry a 10-week industrial internship module at the PJC Micron Enterprises with mentors from company staff who are leading experts in the field. Now, most of the educational programs at the university is going to take place in the educational environment equipped with industrial equipment and also equipment for analytics, processes, and electronics manufacturing. Also, the microelectronics developers are going to be able to use electronic libraries of the industrial partner and will be able to implement own projects as prototypes. The developers of microelectronics will be able to use new microcontrollers in their projects created by PJC Micron using own technology. Separate focus is going to be put on joint research projects between countries and universities. And here, one of the most timely sectors is integral photonics. You see, the current technological norms in Russia are the 90 to 100 nanometers. However, our foreign competitors, international competitors, already have 2 to 3 nanometer size. However, photon micro schemes, which are called photon processors, will be able to be manufactured, which will provide computational speed up to 30 times as fast as modern microprocessors with certain computations. This includes multiplication of matrices with a large number of elements, and experts understand that this is very important for AI systems. Now, in conclusion, I would like to invite everyone to visit our stand, Digital Tatarstan, in the second pavilion to learn more in detail about the microelectronics clusters and our educational modules. Also, you will be able to visit us online at the website, which we set up jointly with PJC Micron to promote our educational programs. Thank you so much. Thank you, Elder. If anyone in the audience would like to comment or ask any questions, you can do so now. And I also have a short blitz survey for all of the speakers here offline. What is the secret of successful international cooperation, in your opinion? Very briefly, 1 or 2 sentences.
To me, I think success is all about outcome. probably even since I come from a scientific background, I always map success to outcomes. Could be a number of students who went from one side to other side, number of students graduated, number of PhDs, number of research projects, number of publications, number of patents, intellectual properties, number of industry academic collaborations. So all these numbers could translate to, I would say, success, and then how to enhance it further.
Thank you so much. Diana?
Немного иначе.
I understood the question differently. I think in terms of developing programs and cooperation, in my opinion, success of international cooperation translates into synergy success, when a number of parties jointly bolster each other, provide synergy in more interesting, more creative, more developed outcomes. And in my opinion, if we look at international cooperation, this is the key value and key interest. Thank you. Subhan, your opinion, please.
So we are at a time of great importance because in front of our eyes we are seeing the existing world order shifting. So that will translate into a lot of changes and a lot of opportunities. To me, success in the field of academics, one is outcome, which our colleague Ajit has already mentioned. Second is putting the right effort and the right time. So timing is perfect. It is a good time to start exploring synergies between each other. And from an effort point of view, I think we are allies and our vision and ideology is similar. So we have to create programs which are attractive and there is a demand pool for those programs so that we create a future for our next generation.
Thank you so much. Aidar?
Aidar, I'm very much in concert with the ideas of previous speakers. But apart from the official wrapping of this program, there should be other internal, personal interaction between religions and cultures is also important. Personal interactions. This is also something that greatly affects outcomes. Thank you so much. I also wanted to complement the ideas with that, because actively working on building international partnerships, it's important to listen and to understand a different culture, different religion also, in a mutually respectful, mindful dialogue, which enables to build comprehensive partnerships in science and education. I think in education it's a bit easier than in the industrial processes or scientific, because we're in the same environment and we come from the same background. We understand each other well. But I call upon cultural, respectful, comprehensive dialogue, mutual respect and vision to the strengths of various cultures and countries. Because once you deep dive, this world is so rewarding. We need further research. Good luck to everyone. We'd like to wish you further fruitful work at the forum. And I'd like you to also welcome you at the next session of Innopolis University, dedicated to AI problems. At 3 p.m. in this audience, you're welcome to attend also, gentlemen. Thank you so much.